Hi everyone, welcome back to the garden, and it's the first proper week of winter. I filmed this video last weekend, so hopefully by the time you're watching this, my gunnera will have been prepared for winter. The can is chopped down and all my other semi-tender potted plants moved into the pollen tunnel for winter. But today I want to leave the practicalities aside and talk about winter motivation, the things that get me through winter, practical ideas to help you get the most out of your winter garden, and ideas and inspiration to help find your passion, find your creativity, and get you looking forward to making an even better display next year. Today's video is kindly sponsored by Skillshare, a fantastic platform so you can engage with your hobbies, creativities, passions all year round. But more on them and a special opportunity for you very soon. Today's video is also brought to you by very little sleep and lots of coffee, because we welcomed our daughter Harriet Poppy into the world last month. To say it's been a tricky and difficult couple of weeks would definitely be an understatement, but Harriet is happy and healthy, Alice is back home now, and we're really looking forward to our first Christmas together. And for Harriet to become a little bit less nocturnal, that would definitely be good. It's perfectly natural for your garden motivation, your desire to be outside, to ebb and flow through the year. And as I started filming this, it started raining, which fits in pretty perfectly. But as soon as spring comes around, which I guarantee it will, your garden will be full of new life. There'll be fresh green growth on all the plants, the sun will actually feel warm again, the days will be longer, and it'll be hard not to want to be outside, getting involved with it all. And then as summer arrives, the garden really will be in full flow. It's a real time to enjoy the present, to enjoy every minute of being out there. A garden full of huge leaves, beautiful flowers, vibrant colours, and alive with the movement and sound of all kinds of wildlife. Golden sun and warmth that really feels like it'll last forever. But as you know, it doesn't. And before long, a change will be in the air again. The last warm days are met with chillier nights, lower sun, and a change in nature's colour palette. Zingy colours are replaced with the rich warmth of autumn once again. The leaves slowly turn at first, but falling faster as both ourselves and the garden make the most of a dwindling light. By December though, winter is very definitely here. The big leaves have faded, the garden reduced to a very minimalist structure. It's a natural time for rest, a quieter time as the garden goes to sleep. Sunlight is precious again, and the days often tinged with a monochromatic gloom. But winter doesn't have to mean your garden enjoyment and plants have to hibernate. These are some ideas of how I think you can keep that motivation really going. It's just been full on raining, not entirely sure how waterproof this camera is, but if you're watching this, you'll know the answer. I'll crack on regardless. But anyway, unlike the busy nights of summer, where you're often out in your garden watering, or just out doing things, enjoying your life, all that kind of thing, in winter, the dark, cosy nights are the perfect opportunity to explore different forms of garden inspiration. If you enjoy reading, I did a video earlier this year suggesting my top 3 tropical and exotic style gardening books. There's some crackers in there, and I'll put a link to that video and the books in the description below. They're a great place to start for general garden inspiration, as well as practical tips on how you can create different tropical and arid style effects. As I'm sure you're aware because you're watching this, YouTube is also full of loads of plant and garden videos. And I've done a few different garden tour videos myself this autumn, looking around gardens that are incredibly inspirational, looking at plant combinations, design tips that you can use at home, and I hope you get something out of those. I don't know about you, but for me, seeing things with other people's eyes, hearing about their experiences, learning from their wisdom, it really fires up the creativity and ignites new ideas in my brain. And that neat links on to today's sponsor, Skillshare. Just started raining again, so I better do this in one take. If you haven't yet heard of Skillshare, then you're in for a real treat. Skillshare is a fantastic platform, a great place to really develop your hobbies, your creativity. If you enjoy watching YouTube, you get a lot out of it, then I'm confident you'll love Skillshare too. For me personally, the real draw of Skillshare is how easily accessible and well structured the content is. Whatever your hobby and interest, you can search on there and easily find a variety of courses. There's going to be something that fits the time you have available and the right level that you want to learn at. So whatever your interest, you can find a helpful, friendly way of really exploring that hobby or passion further. I know a lot of you are new to gardening, new to growing tropical plants, and I'm really pleased with all the great feedback on my often quite niche and detailed tropical garden videos. But if you go onto Skillshare, it's a great companion to my videos. There's loads of really helpful courses going through the basics of gardening, Techniques like propagation, how to grow plants indoors, how to grow vegetables, a lot of the aspects of gardening that my videos don't necessarily deal with, the great courses on Skillshare that can help you out with those. Personally, I got a lot out of video editing with Adobe Premiere Pro for Beginners by Jordi Vanderput. That's the software that I use to make these videos. I am entirely self-taught in it, so hearing somebody else's tips and tricks in an organised fashion, it'll hopefully help improve my videos, take them to the next level over the next few months. I think the take-home point is, whatever your other hobbies and interests might be, it's well worth checking out Skillshare. There's so much structured, helpful advice on there, full of actionable tips to really help you get the most out of your passion. If all that sounds intriguing, then Skillshare provided me with a link. I'll put the link in the video description below, and the first 1,000 people to use the link will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare, so get in quick. From one tip then that's all about improving your knowledge, your mind, your skills, to a very practical one for next year's garden, I want to talk about seeds. I love at this time of year just looking through the seed catalogues. Sarah Raven, Chilton Seeds, or going on Jungle Seeds website. I just love browsing through, seeing what new and exciting varieties there are. It's a great way of passing the time and choosing things that can really make your garden have the wow factor next year. There's so many different plants available, and I wouldn't want you to restrict yourself to just tropical plants. What I would say is get some of the catalogues, send off for them, fill out the requests for them, and just go through them. Choose some really bright, bold, colourful plants that will really help complement the other exotics in your garden. If you haven't grown from seed before, want to try something a bit different, and you've really got into your exotic plants over the last couple of years, then I'd definitely recommend checking out the Seed Club over at Grow Paradise. I'm sure you'll be familiar with Craig's YouTube channel. Well, the Seed Club is a product that he's launched through his website to really help make growing these exotic and tropical plants more easy, more accessible, and a lot cheaper too. Every month, if you sign up, I think it costs £12 a month, he'll send out 3 packets of seeds, not just any seeds, but some really cool tropical style plants that will fit in perfectly in your garden. He chooses some unusual varieties. Sometimes these are plants you can't just buy in the shops. And not only do you get 3 packets of seeds, but you also get a really well designed, beautiful little card, all the instructions that you need to grow them, and a link to an exclusive video going through how to grow these plants. To make it better still, Craig's given me an exclusive code, 20% off your first box for the first 20 customers. I'll put that in the description below. Definitely check it out. For me, growing tropical style plants from seed, it really is so rewarding. And at this time of year, it's great to just have a look at what's available, try some new varieties, see what's out there, and really get dreaming about your tropical display next year. But it's not just daydreaming. You can practically start a lot of these seeds now. Bananas especially can take a while to germinate, so it's well worth getting them going. Canna seeds I generally sow in February, but don't worry if you're watching this video later on, there's plenty of fast growing exotic plants that you can grow easily without specialist equipment later in the season. It's definitely a rewarding side to the hobby and something that now is a great time to get involved with. One other thing that I love to do in winter is actually go out and visit gardens. I know you might be thinking the weather's not there, a lot of the plants aren't there, but there's still so much you can get out of a winter garden visit. For a start, botanic gardens. Generally speaking, whenever we go away for a weekend in a different city or go see Alice's family in Scotland, I always try to sneak a little botanic garden visit in and get a little shot of tropical plant colour. Going to the Royal Botanic Gardens at Edinburgh, it's amazing looking at the glasshouses there, seeing the towering palms, the amazing ferns. You might see my video looking around the garden at RHS Wisley in summer. The glasshouses there are equally jaw-dropping. So many incredible plants from around the world, combined and grown in a way that truly is breathtaking. So botanic gardens are definitely well worth a visit if you're new to gardening and it's not really something you considered before. But don't worry, it's not all about glasshouses and tropical plants. There's so many gardens that are well worth visiting in winter. You might see my video going around Chatsworth House just before Christmas last year, looking at winter structure, the plants that you can grow in your garden to really sort of pad it out, fill it and give it some winter interest. Well, that's a garden that's well worth visiting whatever the time of year. There's just so much to look at there. RHS Bridgewater, we went there just after Christmas last year. And again, not a garden you'd associate with winter at first glance. You might think a paradise garden's all about the summer. Well, you'd be wrong. There's so much to see in winter too. And for me, going to these gardens, it's not purely about exotic or tropical style gardening. Just go with an open mind and see what takes your eye. You might notice some kind of structure, some kind of hard landscaping that you really want to have in your garden. For me personally, going to Chatsworth, the thing that really jumped out at me, you might have seen my video on this, is that bamboo tunnel. Just that feeling of being enclosed by these huge towering evergreen plants, it really is incredible and inspired me to really dedicate part of my garden to creating a similar effect. Likewise, in RHS Bridgewater, there's so many plants there that are grown for summer but left in winter. So you've got all these brown grasses, all these seed heads. I know it's something you hear about in gardening programs, leave them for winter interest, but when you go there, you see all the different variety of russet browns, the frost collects on the seed heads. It really is incredible. And it's inspired me to leave a lot of my plants this winter, leave them stood up so you get a bit of the frost and you've really got some sculptural forms to appreciate on those cold, dark days. Don't worry, I'm not saying to rip out all your exotic plants, replace them with heathers, silver birches and holly trees, but what I am saying is it's well worth going to a few gardens near you, especially if you're fairly new to growing plants and gardening in general. You might be surprised at just what's around the corner. You never know, you might just see something, a plant combination, a bit of hard landscaping that gives you an idea for a garden project you can do next year. And that is my next point, garden projects. A great way to fill your head and get you dreaming of what you're going to do next spring. 3 simple ideas then for a garden project. Don't worry, it's not like water feature, path, etc. These are ways that you can change and improve your garden next year, mainly for tropical style gardens, but really they can work for any garden. So the first thing I'd do is just have a walk around your garden. Maybe don't choose a day when it's raining like today. Choose one of those bright, crisp days that occasionally winter throws at us. Have a walk around your garden and identify an area that doesn't quite work for you. You might have seen in my last summer garden tour video, there's an area just behind me up there where the plants don't grow especially well. It's quite windswept and it's the perfect opportunity to really mix things up, try some different planting and maybe some kind of hard landscaping feature. So that's an area that I'm mulling around in my mind this winter. So that's the first tip. Choose somewhere that's not quite working and have a good think about what you can do there instead. Have a look at these garden videos, have a look at different books. You can find a plant combination or a little feature and then try to replicate it in your garden next spring. The second method I'd use, and this is very winter specific I suppose, look out your window. In winter, we don't go in our gardens that much. So somewhere that you can see from your window, it really is a priority. And if your view from your window, if that border just out your back door doesn't quite grab your attention, if it doesn't look great all the way through the year, then maybe there's something you can do. Maybe there's some evergreens you can introduce. And growing exotic style plants, it's not an excuse to just have a summer garden, completely the opposite. There's so many incredible evergreens that give so much in winter too. Brightly coloured phormiums, cordylines, you've got the yellow flowers of mahogany all the way through winter, fast growing palms, you've got towering bamboos that give shape and movement all the way through winter. So really, the place that you can see out your window provides a great opportunity to mix it up, go for maximum visual impact and get some evergreens in there too. The third tip, and this is definitely a very tropical style gardener one, is take a bit of your lawn out, replace it with plants. I know you wanted to anyway, so now you can say that George told me to. Although seriously, I know it's a bit of a battle between family, significant other, dogs, etc. and plants, but have a look in your garden, and if it's a bit of a lawn that you don't really use as a lawn, then maybe that could give you even more leaves, even more plants, even more flowers, and really give your garden that extra impact next year. It really did come down then, proper heavy rain, but now it's back to sort of usual drizzle. Anyway, the point that I was going to say, which now seems like a bad joke, was that winter is a great time for some garden photography. Occasionally, there are days, well, there's days like today when you get every season in a day, but very occasionally, you can get those beautiful crisp winter days. Blue sky, frosty mornings, that low sunlight, and it's a perfect time of year to get out in the garden and get some photos of the details. Whether you've got a big camera or a small phone, whether you take photos yourself or take them for the gram, you can go around in your garden, get some snaps. And in winter, it's not so much about the big scene, it's more about the details. Because even in the middle of winter, there's still beauty in your garden. And for me, one of the best ways of bringing that out is just nipping out and about with my camera, really choosing the details, getting that low light shining through. That's what it's all about for me. So personally, I used to have a macro lens. I've just bought another one so I can get some detail shots over winter. Some little frosty detail shots of seed heads and berries, that kind of thing. I'm really looking forward to that. But even if you're not into photography, just nip out in your garden this winter with your phone, get some snaps, take pictures of the plants that really interest you, and I'm sure you'll find that there's more in your garden this winter than you actually thought there was. There's detail even when it looks bleak outside. Even if the pictures have little in the way of artistic value, even if photography is not your thing, the pictures can definitely give you something to look back on next summer, and you'll really realise just how far you've come and how fast your garden has grown. A lot of the big leaves in the garden then, like this Musabashu banana, they will fade away this week, and it won't be until May next year, nearly 6 months time, before they're back at their best again. But that doesn't mean that you can spend half the year suffering from a lack of motivation, not enjoying your garden at all. And I hope I've given you some tips on how the exact opposite can be true. You can be more motivated than ever, planning ahead, and really looking forward to next spring when you can put those plants into motion. Starting off with the videos, check out YouTube, search for different tropical gardens, see what's out there. Go on iPlayer, see what programs are on there, and then check out Skillshare. Like I said, I appreciate each and every person who signs up using the link in the description below. It's a great resource. And then back to basics, you've got the books there. Get a book on exotic or tropical style gardening. One single picture could completely transform your idea for a border in your garden. And it's great to just look at pictures of gardens, not just look at them, but really take in the plants people use and how it really creates that jungle effect for you. And then seeds. Seeds are a great practical way of actually starting off your display next year. You're practically doing something that will improve your garden next year, as well as daydreaming about what you can grow in your garden, what you can try for the first time. Garden visits, they're fantastic. If you've never been to a garden local to you, then definitely check one out, and you might be surprised at what hidden exotics you might find while you're there. And then when it comes to your own garden, just have a walk around. It might be a weekend day before you get the daylight, but have a little walk around your garden, look at your borders, and see if there's an area that you can change next year. A little mini project, maybe a small pond, maybe just changing some planting around, or mixing up your summer display next year. Have a good think about it, and what I find is these ideas, they tend to go around in my brain, and I'm there at night trying to sleep, planning out a border down to the exact plant. That's what it does, but I'd rather be doing that than feeling sad about my garden not being there for another 6 months. And lastly, if you're not in the mood for actually doing something for planning ahead, just have a walk around your garden, wait for one of those beautiful crisp winter mornings, nip out with your phone, with your camera, and just get some pictures of the things that really strike you. It's a great time for appreciating not just what you can do next year, but what you've already got. And there's so much beauty in your garden, even in the middle of winter, even if you grow a lot of exotic plants. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. Thank you very much for watching. That person clearly did. I'll see you in the next one.